to start these things where it's always great to have traffic when you're coming to a soccer game. I can remember the days when there was no traffic on the way to a game. But it's great to be here. Welcome, everybody. I think it's going to be a fun night. It has been a terrific couple of days here in Austin. And I have to start by saying it's really heartwarming to see the excitement for our league and the passion for Austin FC. And we all know that there was challenges in leading up to the launch of this club and getting this stadium built, but to see the great work that Anthony Precourt and Eddie Margain and now a new owner that's come into the partnership, it represents everything that's exciting about Major League Soccer. You get a great ownership group, you build a good facility, and you create a brand that fans can be super passionate about, and that is a great formula for success. Let me start by acknowledging the people throughout this state who have been impacted by the really horrible floods in Hill Country and in Curry County. For those of that have suffered this incredible loss, our hearts are with them. It's been moving to see the work of first responders and how people in this community have come together. I'm very proud of what we have been able to do with our three Texas teams, Austin, Dallas, and Houston, and the ownership groups in each of those cities to come together with the league and create a nice joint effort to aid in recovery efforts. All week and during tonight's game, and certainly events leading up to it, we're honoring the resilience and the spirit of all those affected. And we have been experiencing, as a community, lots of challenges and lots of loss. And every now and again, sport could come together and really give people an opportunity to take a step back and celebrate the passion and connectivity of our sport. And I'm really proud of everything that our teams have done here in the city. But we're here for our All-Star Week, and as I said, the events have been spectacular. It's probably one of our most successful in history. We had a board meeting today and showed a video of the events that started with Soccer Celebration over the weekend. That event continues to grow with great sponsors, with lots of people in downtown Austin that really kicked off this All-Star Week celebration with record crowds. We had a bunch of fans at our MLS Next All-Star game, including the son of a guy that I used to work with back in the day who lived in Orlando, played in the Orlando City Academy, played for their MLS Next Pro team, and then went off to college and came back and just signed a professional contract. And that is the dream, right? That connection between being a kid, looking through the fence and seeing what it might like to be a pro. And I'm really proud of what we've been able to achieve with MLS Next. So we had several thousand people, and if any of you were there, it's a pretty cool event. We've had more corporate engagement and activation for this All-Star game than ever before. Over a dozen of our partners have been activating both throughout the city, throughout the state, and throughout the country. We have a sellout for tonight's event. And if any of you had an opportunity to go to the Hometown Heroes, a community outreach event, I'm really proud of it. Shola Winley's done a great job. It honors people in the community. We have our All-Star game for work that they do in the community. It's got nothing to do with soccer. It's about how could we celebrate and honor them and really reward them for all the great work that they do in their communities. Anthony and Eddie have done a great job. They, along with Matthew McConaughey and the rest of the ownership group, have not just built a great team, but they've had some runway to build this All-Star game. And along with our partners at Liga Mex, Mikel Ariola, and the many club owners have been here over the last couple of days, it is an opportunity for us to celebrate, an opportunity for us to take a step back, but it's also an opportunity for us in the league midway through our 30th season to reflect on where we are and really how far we've come. You know, it is hard to believe for myself and for many of you, I know for our owners and those players that have been part of this journey for us, that we've been at this for 30 years. When our original founders, Lamar Hunt and Robert Kraft and Phil Anschutz, came together to launch this league coming out of the World Cup in '94, 10 teams, a big vision. I don't think that they would have ever expected that that vision would be realized quite the way it has been here in the United States and Canada. 30 teams, 20 soccer stadiums, more to come. almost 1,000 players, and I think about that a lot. All those players and administrators and staff that are making a living, working in the sport they love and for a league that they love, it really is pretty remarkable. And think about it, it's not just our 30 teams, it's MLS Next Pro teams in most of those markets. It's MLS Next, it's MLS Go. It's building the foundation of the sport from the bottom up. And we're very excited and proud about that. Since the league has been founded, we had 160 million fans that have come to our games, and attendance remains strong. We're on track for another great year. Multiple matches in this season alone have drawn crowds of more than 60,000. I'm confident that we will finish with another increase in our attendance. And by the way, when you're constantly growing, it's hard to continue to increase, right? But that's our goal. It's what we're focused on. It's not just about playing games. It's about how do we ensure that those games provide great fan entertainment and great experience from the time people get to the stadium until the time they leave to go home. Sponsorship through Soccer United Marketing will grow by double digits this year over last. It's going to be another record year, big announcement that we have coming up in a couple of weeks. One of our largest sponsors will join the MLS family. We're going to announce that, I think, in a couple of weeks, Dan. So stay tuned for that. Social media continues to grow. It's good to have a player that's got a large social media following, and all of our clubs that are very, very engaged in digital content. High Speed Show being there last night, being one of the hosts of our All-Star Skills competition. Very proud of that event. That event continues to grow, and we have great sense of what that's going to look like in the future. Consumer products continues to grow year on year, both with Adidas, with Adidas, and with Fanatics, the new Legends archive collection. And think about that. MLS actually can have kits from their early years, and if people want to go out, players wearing them, people want to go out and buy them. I could remember back in the day some of those fun team names and coming in from another sport and not really understanding why we had a team named the Mutiny or the team named the Clash. We're excited with those new brands, but people are buying those kits in record numbers. It was the launch of our 30th team. San Diego's been a terrific success, big crowds. Currently, the team's doing quite well on the field, and we've seen that a bit with our new expansion team. Somehow, they figured out a way to put a good team on the field before other teams have figured out how they've done that, and San Diego's riding some great success. We will be opening, celebrating the Right to Dream Academy formally in September. That training facility and that whole program is really spectacular. We think it's among the best in the world. I was down in Philadelphia, in Chester, Pennsylvania, a couple of days ago, the opening of the new training ground and development center in Philly. It is spectacular. That's not just a training facility. It's not just a stadium. It's an entire complex. At our board meeting today, we showed what that waterfront looked like before the union came in and what it looks like today, connecting from an abandoned power plant to now as a vibrant office building through a great indoor facility, 7 fields connected to their great stadium. We will open up next year a new training facility for Portland, and the Red Bulls will open up their training facility in the months to come. And we all involved in our league should really be thoughtful and mindful of the near $1 billion of investment in the development of the game at the academy level and beyond. There was a time we couldn't build stadiums, and now every one of our teams is competing with each other to see who could have the best, most state-of-the-art training facility, and we're very excited about that. It's obviously been a good year for players, not just a great player in Miami and Messi, but Evander in Cincinnati. Certainly, we're excited about Chucky and Andres in San Diego. Pasalic has been doing a wonderful job playing in Orlando. So we've got a lot of great things going on from the players' side, and it's just halfway through the season. It has been a summer of soccer. And for all of you who I'm sure have covered many of these matches and will be covering the rest of our league and other leagues here in our country and covering the World Cup next summer, this is the most exciting, most vibrant, most energized soccer market in the world. It's not just me saying it, it's the President of the United States saying it, it's the President of FIFA saying it. The Club World Cup, we thought was a great success. We're proud of our 3 teams that participated, particularly Inter Miami, that beat a European club in a competition, a formal competition for the first time, advanced to the knockout stage, and I think it was one of the defining moments for our league. I was at almost all of the games where MLS clubs, LA, Seattle, and Miami participated. We had a great story with the number of homegrown players that have played in the CONCACAF Gold Cup, from Diego Luna, Matt Friese, who had a great game, Sebastian, obviously, Berhalter is doing quite well, Alex Friedman. Canada had 2 great MLS players playing for their club. By the end of this summer, by the end of the Leagues Cup, there'll be over actually close to 4 million fans that will attend professional or national team soccer matches here this summer, which is really an astounding number. Innovation continues to be core to what we do. If you get a chance to go through the stadium, take a walk from the press box and see our innovation laboratory that we have in the stadium. It's the 2nd year of that. We're excited about the investments that we're making, and really as MLS becomes larger and more competitive in the global front, more and more companies are looking to connect with us, and we're proud of those investments that we've made and the opportunities we have to utilize technology on our fields. The Apple deal has grown. We're averaging 120,000 unique viewers per match. That's an increase of almost 50% 50% compared to last year. Distribution has helped drive a lot of that. Now you can get MLS Season Pass on Comcast, on DirecTV. For the first time of any sports league, we're providing access to fans through EAFC Mobile. It's clearly one of the most transformational times in the history of our sport, and obviously we think Major League Soccer is one of the drivers of the growth of the sport here in this country, but it's all kind of leading up to the World Cup in 2026. So it's an opportunity for us to take a look, as I started, what's the 30 years been like? And what's the 30 years going to look like going forward? So we have focused on what we're calling MLS 3.0, MLS in the next 30 years, a comprehensive strategy to drive our next era of growth, of innovation, global competitiveness, which we think is very important. And it's going to fall into a couple of different categories. First is calendar alignment. We continue to evaluate the potential for a transition to the FIFA International Match Calendar. I'm sure somebody will ask a question on it. We're not making any announcements today, but we continue to do an enormous amount of work with our fans, with our partners, with all of our chief soccer officers, and with our clubs to get ourselves closer to the point where we're able to make that decision, but we believe that that alignment is something that makes sense. The second part of that is a review of our entire roster strategy. And as we're going into CBA negotiations, it is a time for us to rethink, as we're developing the future of our league, what our roster strategy should be. As you probably know, we're looking at an evolution of our competition format that looks at a different structure to our regular season. Think of different structures for conferences, to think of a different playoff format that we think will be something that will maximize the competitiveness of our league, make it more, every regular season game count even more than it does today, and engage our fans. And then we're going through a deep analysis of player development to ensure that all of the investment north of $100 million a year at the youth level, at the MLS Next Pro level, is paying off in a return. And that's what we spent a good amount of our board meeting on this morning. Leading through innovation is going to continue to look at how do we evolve our Apple relationship and our Apple deal. Nothing to announce today, but a lot of work being done with them. A very engaged and thoughtful and committed partner, but what do we need to do 3 years in? Think about what the rest of this deal is going to look like to provide more access, to provide more distribution, and perhaps make it easier for our fans to get access to our games. So it is about moving forward, as we always do, with energy and with purpose and with ambition. It is about the next era of growth for our league. So I've probably spoke longer than I usually do, because I'm sure we'll have lots of questions. But that's what I got to say about that.
All right, we'll go to questions. You talked about the Summer of Soccer, Club World Cup. We got the FIFA World Cup coming next year. So we're going to go to FIFA.com. We're going to go to Joe Trahan in the back there to kick things off. But I will say, before we go to you, Joe, those of you on Zoom, if you could raise your hand, and then those of you in the room, raise your hand, and we'll go around. We'll get to Dom, and then we'll get to certainly everybody. We've got some time, so we're going to throw it to Joe first.
Yeah, thanks, Commissioner. My question is right here. My question is, obviously, you expanded a little bit about what Austin's doing. Can you talk a little bit more? Obviously, it's a big year for us in the state of Texas, having World Cup games, obviously, in Houston and Dallas next year. But can you talk about how good of a job the city of Austin and Austin FC have done this week with all things All-Star?
You know, let me start with what a great job they've done for their club. You know, we had the most senior people from Apple here. We've got some of the largest corporate sponsors in America here. We've got many of our owners here, and they've been able to experience some of the, you know, the great energy and uniqueness of this city. But very importantly, come toward the stadium. Many of them, not most of them, were at the skills competition last night. And this stadium is one of the best in MLS. And it was a journey to get here, but the payoff was really great for the people here in this city, and certainly for Major League Soccer and for the rest of our clubs. When you get a city that's got energy and ambition and understands the public-private partnership of how sports can work in community, which is why we want to give back and pay back like we're doing with these programs we have for flood relief. They came together and put an all-star bid before us that has set a new bar. So when I was in Charlotte just last week announcing that our all-star game will be there, last week or 2 weeks ago, we said, you're on the clock. And Austin has set a bar that is going to raise the expectations, but also the deliverables for our All-Star game. And it really is the whole egg. It is about the game, but it's about the activities around it. It's about the youth events. It's about the fan events. So hats off to the mayor. Hats off to the people here in this city. And best days are going to be ahead in years to come with new cities that, you know, we've committed to bring the All-Star game to.
All right, one quick stat, because I had to ask Austin FC. 81 consecutive sellouts here. Pretty impressive. For our journalists in the room, and actually those on Zoom, just state your name and affiliation, so especially the folks on Zoom can hear who's in the room. I know most of you. We're going to go to Tom Bogert. Tom, state your name and affiliation, since I just halfway did it.
Tom Bogert, Give Me Sport. Don, thanks for taking the time, as always. I just wanted to hone in on the calendar change that you alluded to. First of all, you know, why hasn't a vote happened? Is there, I guess, a reason for that? Do the league have to have an agreement with the MLSPA to make this happen? And thirdly, is there any sense or worry of a missed opportunity for it to not happen after the 2026 World Cup? Thank you.
Well, you know, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen after the 2026 World Cup. So that I can assure you of, Tom. You know, when you have a league for 30 years that's based on a basic premise, I mean, what do leagues do? They set the schedule. You know, if you were going to go look at the job description for a commissioner and a league office, the first thing they do is set the schedule. And then they're about how do you properly bring owners together to make decisions about the governance of the league, and how do you build all the different activities in and around it, from your players to your player pool, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So making this change is seismic. It's not something we should do lightly. We obviously have teams across multiple climate zones, multiple time zones, unlike any other league in the world. And if we do make the change, we're not going to go back on that decision. And there are a number of key benefits to it. Aligning with the world standard, we think, is important for our brand as we try to continue to engage as one of the important, influential leagues in the world. We want to align with on the calendar to be able to be even more engaged on the player transfer market. This year, by year end, we could have $150 million in player sales. Compare that to where we were years ago. And imagine what that will be when we're aligned on the international calendar. We also have our most important games in the busiest part of the calendar, right? And I think where we are today in the fall might be very, or winter might be very different when the league was founded. The league continues to have its cup later and later and later in December. And that is a challenge that has got to be addressed. And then very importantly, you know, how do we ensure that when we make that decision, our facilities are ready for it, and our fans are ready for it, and our corporate partners are ready for it. So I would rather get it right and take our time than get it wrong and do it quick, because life's a long time when it comes to something like your schedule. As it relates to our players, they're one of our key stakeholders. No different than our fans, no different than our partners, corporate partners, no different than our owners who are building facilities and would have to get some of them to be climate ready. So we'll sit down with everybody at the right time, and I'm confident we'll make the right decision.
All right, we're going to go just quickly. The order coming up will be Paul Tenorio, then Alex Silverman, Jeff Reuter, we'll go to Har, then we'll go to one of three Alexes right next to each other, Alex Abnos, then we'll go to Simon Evans, and then we'll go to Alex Labadou. How's that? All right, so next up in the batting order, bad baseball analogy, Paul.
Thanks, Dan. Paul Tenorio from The Athletic. Don, you mentioned the roster rules or roster strategy. When you talk about the training facilities, and you said these teams are kind of trying to one-up each other to build a better facility and a better facility, and they are some of the nicest facilities in the world, I think it shows the strength of kind of what your owners are capable of when they have the resources to go out and kind of build what they want to build. How important do you think it is for the growth of this league to truly be competitive in the global market, to overhaul completely potentially the roster rules, to allow teams flexibility and more resources to kind of fulfill that goal of competing with the best leagues in the world and in this hemisphere, in Brazil?
After all these years, and know many of you as long as I do, we don't have these rules in place because somebody is sitting behind a green curtain and saying, boy, how could I make rules that are going to prevent the league from moving forward? That would be just madness. We have rules because we're looking at data, we're evaluating where we fit and how our allocation of resources can help our league move forward. And in the minds of fans, and I get it, fans don't want to hear about roster rules and they don't want to hear about what can't be done. All they want to hear about is what great players they have and how well they do on the field, both referentially but also within the league competition. So we have been very thoughtful, and I think history will judge us, about how we have made decisions to ensure that we could manage steady growth over what has been a 30-year period, defying all odds, and do it in a way where our clubs are becoming teams of choice for top players, and as Miami was able to prove, be able to stand toe-to-toe with some top clubs. Now, if the objective is to win the Club World Cup, which it is, we just have to figure out how do we manage that within the overall economic environment that exists today. So what I would say is all revenue and cost are related, and strategy and decision-making or strategy should drive decision-making, and we will continue to evolve in ways that will move this league forward. And that means evolving our roster rules. It means hopefully generating more revenue so that our clubs could spend more money. It means having a vibrant and robust commercial business so that we can get the word out. It's having our owners allocate their resources in ways where, in Philadelphia, they've got their own strategy. It is about player development and just spent over $130, $140 million on a development facility. So every team is going to make those decisions, and the league is only going to put structure around that. And as we feel the opportunity exists for our clubs, I should say this differently, as our owners feel that more flexibility will drive more opportunity and more competitiveness, then we will move in that direction.
All right, our next question goes to Alex.
That was a long answer, but I think you know what I'm saying. All has to make sense at the right time.
Alex Silverman from Sports Business Journal. Commissioner, you mentioned, I believe, that your matches on MLS Season Pass are averaging 120,000 unique viewers per match. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's the first time we've heard a number like that from the league.
Yeah. There you go. Breaking news.
Can you provide a little bit of additional context on how you guys view that number in terms of where you want to be, and why the change in posture in terms of transparency on the viewership?
Well, let me start by saying, remember that every single game is treated exactly the same on MLS Season Pass. So how do you evaluate the fact that we have games going on simultaneously, way more games going on simultaneously than any other league, right? So we're not putting 1 or 2 games on a Saturday and then the next game on a Saturday, or a handful of games regionally on a Sunday. Other leagues have a game of the week or the game of the night or Friday Night Baseball on Apple TV. All of our games, for the most part, are on Saturday, all up against each other. So when you have 120,000 unique viewers across that, that's a lot of people. Aggregate all that, depending on what week it is, and you got over 1 million people that are unique viewers to a match. What we're struggling with, and I think what the industry is struggling with, is there has been no system to be able to evaluate how people are in a subscription service, how they're viewing and consuming games, and what is the metric that matters most. Is it average minute audience? Is it unique viewers? Remember, we're on a subscription service, which is very different than just having your games available, on a linear network. So we in Apple have just been trying to figure it all out. I know it's frustrating for those who are looking for more information, but we in Apple believe we need to start sharing more information so that you all can start looking at it and what does it really mean. So it's the beginning, it's not the end, and we'll continue to share more and more in the next press conference I have, which won't be till MLS Cup.
Just to follow up, as much as we appreciate the information, I'm sure that information is stuff that sponsors are interested in getting as well. Is that part of, I guess, the impetus to make sure that sponsors know what level of exposure the brands are getting?
To the extent you can have transparency, you should have as much as you can. And when you don't have it, you have to have a good reason for it. So it's for everyone.
All right, next question. I want to go to Jeff down here in front.
Hey, Jeff Ruder with The Athletic. Thanks,
Hey,
Dan.
Jeff.
Commissioner, thanks for taking the time. I had other questions, but it's probably time to address the 5'7" elephant that's not in the room. You mentioned Lionel Messi during your remarks, both for his social following. Of course, the fans themselves chose that they wanted to see him here. He is not here. One of his teammates isn't as well. I also remember a former Swedish striker in this league getting suspended for not participating in this game. I'm just curious if there's an update on the status for Lionel Messi and Jordi Alba next weekend.
Yeah, so anything that's going to happen as it relates to next weekend, we're not going to talk about today because the game's not till this coming weekend, and we don't need to announce that now. We're managing through that process as we speak. But I want to say something that we as a league need to deal with. We have an All-Star game that we think is a real priority, as do all leagues. You are in the sports journalist. You know that All-Star games have a uniqueness to them as it relates to all the leagues. And where do you fit it in the schedule? How do you make that a priority for all your stakeholders, not just your players, but your fans, your partners, taking a break, and all the meetings that we've had. It's the first time we've had all of our CSOs here, all of our CBOs here, all of our owners here. It is an important midseason break for us. At the same time, we have a player who is, I don't know how tall Leo is, but he's playing 9 matches in 30 days. We have a schedule, Miami's had a schedule that is unlike any other team. Most of our teams have had a 10-day break. Miami hasn't. We had Leo playing 90 minutes in almost all the games that he's played. Somebody gave me this stat. It was 5 games in the last, what was it, Dan? 5 games in the last... 9 games in 35. Yeah. So...
That's 9 games in 35 days, so everybody knows. It's 4 Club World Cup and then 5. And he's played 90 minutes in every game.
So we have to manage through that as a league. At the same time, we do have rules, and we have to manage through that as well. So we would have loved to have Leo here. We'd have loved to have every player that was selected for the All-Star team here. And after this All-Star game, we'll figure out what needs to happen this weekend. I was told this morning that neither Jordi or Messi practiced today. So Jordi came off with an injury in last game, and we'll have to manage through what Miami is going to say about that.
All right, we'll continue down front. Oh, right here.
Hi, Don. Har with Daily Hive in Vancouver. The Whitecaps have had a tremendous year in the CCC and the regular season as well. How important is it for the Whitecaps to find a new stadium, construct one, and also find ownership that will keep the team in Vancouver? I know Indianapolis has been lurking. What can you say to the fans that are maybe concerned about the team leaving it without a new stadium?
Yeah, we have no plans to move the Vancouver Whitecaps, but right now they don't have a viable stadium situation. and they need one. We have a stadium that we'll lose access to because of construction for the 2026 World Cup. We get 17 days where we can play our games, and that's it. Right? We don't have any flexibility, including what happened with their playoff game last year. The Vancouver Whitecaps need a new stadium, and we need to find a way to work with the city and work with the province and get Greg Kerfoot, who's committed to working with the city and the province, to find a stadium solution. Not our first rodeo, and we'll figure that out. We'll be able to get a stadium, I hope, and we're working hard at it. We got an update on it over the last couple of days, and we're hopeful that we'll be able to achieve something to at least look at a way that we could have a place for the Vancouver Whitecaps to play. And then we'll continue to deal with what happens if they don't have a place to play. But there is no plan to move the Vancouver Whitecaps.
So what's the update?
There isn't any update that I can share with you today, but the update is we got to get a new stadium situation for the Vancouver Whitecaps. I will say the city has been more engaged now than they have been in the past, and we appreciate that. So I think everybody recognizes the Whitecaps are an important brand. They've been in the city a long time, and we'd like to find a solution.
All right, we're going to stay in the room. We've got Alex Abnos, then we'll go Simon Evans, Alex Labadou, then Edgar Acero. And we're going to keep coming around. We have a few people on Zoom. That's 10, so we're going to go to Zoom for just briefly, all right? So we've got Alex Abnos.
Hi, thanks, Dan, and thank you, Don. Alex Abnos from The Guardian US. In recent months, we've seen a lot of MLS supporters groups speak out through TIFOs and signs and other things against ICE and federal government policy concerning Latinos and immigrants and everybody in that community. That's obviously a very big community for MLS, making up a lot of your supporters. How is the league thinking about that and the way the federal government is currently treating that community? And what role, if any, do you think the league has in protecting these people, or what role do you think, does the league have any role at all in this?
Well, it's a complicated issue for sure. And the question is, does the league have a role in protecting people? I don't know. You're talking about Latinos. I don't think the league has the ability to serve as an entity to protect anyone. That being said, we want our stadiums to be safe. We want to ensure that we're having displays that are not going to incite anyone, and at the same time not take care of one audience, and at the same time having to deal with another audience that might be on the other side of this issue. The best way to do that is to have the policy we have, which prohibits having political signage or anything to do with legislative acts on display in our stadiums. I understand and sympathize with those that are impacted by this. I grew up in a very diverse environment. We are a very diverse league, but we have to be very thoughtful about how we engage in this situation. Our teams, as LAFC has done, teams want to make a statement, they can. I don't think any team should be required to. Certainly the league has not and will not make a statement on this. We just want to continue to do whatever we can to ensure that our games are safe for all of our fans.
All right, the next question will go to Simon Evans.
Hi, Don. Simon Evans. You mentioned about changing maybe the format structure as well as the calendar. If they were happening at the same time, are you looking there at, I've heard mentioned divisions perhaps coming in, and is maybe apertura clausura system, is that also something that would work in a winter?
Too early to talk about that, Simon, but we've got a really excited format that we'll be ready to present once we go through all the formalities of it. And we'll talk about that, sometime either before or at the end of the year press conference, but it'll be great. And it's going to make the regular season more meaningful. It'll be more aligned with the rest of the world in terms of how they play their competition. And I think our player format will be really cool, really unique, very different from anything that happens in North America. But let us get through crossing the T's and dot the I's.
And just a very brief, if I may, on expansion, MLS 3.0, is there going to be maybe more than 30 teams in the MLS 3.0?
I don't know the answer to that, Simon. I never thought we'd get to 20, never thought we'd get to 24, 26, 28, or 30. We'll have to see. I do think that there's a lot of support for MLS in a lot of different cities, but When we think, and you all have asked me this question, why don't you figure out ways that you can ensure that every team is doing their very best before you expand again? I didn't mention this in my earlier comments. Part of that 3.0 is a new stadium in Chicago, a new stadium in New York City, and a new stadium in Miami. And for those of us who have been around a long time, that's a game changer for us. 26, 27, and 28, three of the biggest cities in our country are going to have brand new soccer stadiums. That just leaves one, which is New England, who continues to work hard to try to get a soccer-specific stadium. So I feel like we're filling in, and maybe we need to expand again, but there's no plans to do that at this point.
All right, so we're going to go Alex Labadou, Edgar Ocero, our friends from Charlotte who visited us. Then we're going to go to Zoom, and we're going to try to come back. I will say the commissioner has a live interview in a little bit out on the field. So, Alex, you are next.
Don, Alex Labadou from Goal. All-Star games are struggling for relevancy recently. You've seen ratings across the board go down for all sports. Do you have any plans to potentially change the All-Star format or anything like that?
Well, I love the All-Star game. Most leagues probably do. How do you get your players to love the All-Star game, your partners to love the All-Star game, and fans too? We made a decision many years ago that we didn't want an exhibition. We wanted a competitive game. And you've all been to some of these MLS Liga MX games. I mean, they're playing to win. And it's a competitive match. And we've seen that fans really like that. And the uniqueness of the format is something that we care about. That being said, we're going to be playing 90+% of our Leagues Cup matches are going to be MLS versus Liga MX games. So maybe it is time for us to evolve the format. As long as we have a competitive game that people care about, I think our All-Star game will be as successful as it's been in the past. And we'll see how it plays out. I mean, we are really focused in Charlotte to make that a really big event coming right out of the World Cup. Well, tons of attention. So I'm confident it'll continue to be strong.
All right, our next one, we're going to go to Edgar Ocero, who likely has the microphone from you, Gabe.
Hi, Don. Edgar Acero, MLSsoccer.com over here. You spoke a little bit about the summer of soccer that we are currently experiencing, going from Club World Cup to Gold Cup, now to the All-Star week that we're experiencing, and next week with the start of Leagues Cup. Can you talk a little bit more about the momentum of what those tournaments bring into the growth of the game here in this region, and how MLS positions itself as being a big player in that? Thank you.
Well, let's just take the Club World Cup. Several million people attended the Club World Cup. And how many of them are MLS fans? We're doing the data work to figure that out. But let's assume that many of them were not. So that tournament gives us the opportunity to connect with a soccer market that's not necessarily fully connected to Major League Soccer. So we got a lot of boats on the rising tide, and now we got to do the hard work, and it doesn't get any easier. And as the market continues to grow, our task is to feed that interest. So the question about, are our roster rules that are in existence today, that have been in existence for many years, going to allow us to do that? Or as the market grows and becomes more sophisticated, as people are packing stadiums to see Al Hilal, should we be thinking that maybe we've got to change some of our approach so that all those people that were supporting Brazilian teams or supporting teams in Saudi Arabia are going to support MLS? I'm convinced we'll be able to achieve that. The question is, what's the right formula? How do we do it in a logical, rational, economically viable way so that we can continue to move with stability? And our league, folks, you're all soccer people, we have enormous stability. And how many professional soccer leagues in the world have that? How many of them have the parity that we have, where at any given time, any team could win any game? How many have the stadiums that we have and the billions of investment in those stadiums across the entire league? I follow the Premier League. Not every stadium there is at the par of an MLS stadium. They might be bigger. Some of them are really old. Many of them need renovation, or many of the super clubs need big new stadiums. We've got to check that box. So it's all about how these pieces fit together, and if we make the right decisions, we'll capture the opportunities. So I am a believer that these big tournaments are good for soccer in America. The World Cup will be great for soccer in America. And I know you've heard me say this before, what Gianni Infantino did took real courage. Everybody doubted him. Everybody doubted that FIFA could pull it off, and they pulled it off. The Club World Cup's only going to get better in the years to come. Wasn't easy, wasn't without challenge, wasn't without issues related to weather, but this is our country. We're going to have those issues. We have those issues now, and we're going to have them if we change the international calendar. You got to deal with those issues and not be afraid from them. You got to lean in and not run away.
All right. We do have 15 people here from Charlotte, in addition to owner David Tepper, who the commissioner did say in our board meeting today, David Tepper, you are on the clock. So we're fortunate to have journalists from Charlotte here today. We'll turn it over to you. And then we're going to go to Zoom, where we'll go Lizzie Bescherano, Eric Fisher from Front Office Sports, Paul Kennedy, and Sophie Nicolau. Time permitting, guys. Again, he's got a live interview. We'll see what we can do. All right.
I'll give shorter answers.
Well, not for mine. My name is Deshawn Brown with the ABC affiliate WSOC in Charlotte. I wanted to take it back to your opening comments where you mentioned this was likely the most successful All-Star game in league history. I'm curious to learn more about the metric that you're looking at to measure success, and what is that metric for Charlotte?
Well, for any city and any big event, it's economic impact. So we believe just this game will have a $20 million economic impact for the city of Austin. It's a sold-out stadium where you're part of the conversation. So when we had Soccer Celebration going on downtown, and there were packed stands participating with our players and with skills and social media influencers, we here in this very culturally relevant city, we have been the story this week, which is important to any professional sports league. We will exceed that in Charlotte because David Tepper's a very competitive guy. He wants to have the best All-Star game of all time. I was with the mayor last week. The mayor's committed, the state's committed. They put money into helping to support the All-Star game, and you just want to be relevant, you want to matter, and you want to have people have a good time.
All right, we're going to go to Zoom. We have Lizzie Bescherano from ESPN.com in Miami. She is not with us now. So we're going to go to Eric Fisher from Front Office Sports. Eric, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep. Hey, Eric.
Hey, good evening. I wanted to follow up specifically on the climate-related and weather-related stuff with this scheduled discussion. A lot of the chatter around this topic is what might happen during the depth of the winter months, but we also just saw the complaints during the Club World Cup with the summer heat. It's almost like you're getting squeezed on both sides. And in an era of climate change, how are you sort of thinking about those two kind of views at the extremes?
Well, Eric, I'll stay away from the climate change question because we're all as citizens of the planet dealing with that, and our league is no different. It's getting hotter, and that's clearly an issue in playing through the depth and the core of the warmest months in many of our markets. But we're also managing through storms and floods and hurricanes and delayed games and canceled games. And, that's the uniqueness of being an outdoor sport, not having the same schedule flexibility that baseball might have if they have a rain out. So it just adds to the challenges and complexity that MLS has to deal with every day. So as media people ask questions, how are you going to deal with this one issue? That's one of 1,000 that we're dealing with, every day in and day out. We have to make the decision that's going to set us up best for the future. And how do we create a calendar or a schedule that minimizes the impact of super cold or super hot? And how do we do that with in the most number of markets? How do we manage the schedule in a way where it minimizes that? We have ideas and ways in which we're able to do that. How do you get creative and unique around that so that our stadiums are managing that with investments that they're making in infrastructure, all going into why this has been such a long discussed project and one that we have to check all the boxes before we could go forward with it.
All right, our next question goes to Paul Kennedy with Soccer America on Zoom. Paul, are you with us?
Yes, I'm right here. Thank you, Don. Thank you, Dan. Don, you mentioned earlier MLS Cup taking place later and later in the year. This year, do you have a date for MLS Cup? And how can you ensure that it will not conflict with the World Cup draw, which is taking place at the end of the year also?
Well, I don't know the date of the World Cup draw yet. What is it?
They have not announced it.
Yeah. So MLS Cup will be December 6th this year. So I don't know when the World Cup announcement is. Hopefully it's not December 6th. Or maybe they could do it at the MLS Cup.
The World Cup draws December 5th, and the MLS Cup is December 6th.
All right.
There you go.
So
Be a lot of
tuned.
journalists in town.
All right, we're going to go to Sophie Nicolau and then Safid Deen with USA Today, and then we have to wrap it up because he's supposed to be on the field in 4 minutes, so apologies, folks. Sophie on Zoom.
Hello, Don. I hope you're well. The league has had a lot of great players over the years, but few have understood it perhaps the way David Beckham has, which maybe makes it a little surprising that Messi isn't at the All-Star game today. But do you think now it's unquestionable that David is the most impactful and important player in league history? Thank you.
Well, it's a good question, Sophie. I guess the question is, what do you mean by impactful? So I don't want to be cute or presumptuous that I know the answer to that from your perspective. So let me sort of take it as a long answer to sort of cover up David generally, then obviously talk about Lionel Messi. David Beckham is a very, very, very special guy. I think those of you that have been around the sport, those of you who are new to it and seen the documentary, there is only one David Beckham who has performed at the highest level, that has seen the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat, gone through trauma and come out on the other end with a bounce in his step and a unique ability to be incredibly optimistic. And if I had to use one word to describe David, it's just focus. I can't do one word. It's focus and it's optimism. David never gets riled up. You've seen that the way he played on the field. He had no shortage of obstacles to put together into Miami, get that stadium project done, form the right partnership with the Moss family, which is a great partnership, and to be really, really engaged as an owner. I spoke to David 2 days ago on just the future of what they're thinking about as it relates to player signings, one that I hope they can announce sometime in the next couple of weeks. He's involved, he's committed, and MLS wouldn't be what it is today without David Beckham. But MLS wouldn't be today what it is today without Leo Messi either. I don't think any of us realized what impact this player would have on our league, on our global exposure, on our credibility, on creating the thrills and just unique experiences that he's done over just the last couple of weeks, scoring multiple goals in multiple games, playing 90 minutes over the last 4 or 5 games, not wanting to come out of a game. He's an incredible competitor, and he's performing at a really high level. So we are perceived very differently globally because Leo Messi is in our league. But we are very different from the way the world thought of us because David Beckham not only played in our league, but because he's built a team that is worldly popular.
All right, our final question is going to go to Safid Deen in Miami with USA Today, and then you can watch the commissioner on MLS Season Pass in a few minutes because he's doing a live hit. Safid.
Hey, Don. Thank you, Dan. I just wanted to ask, when did Inter Miami communicate with you guys that Messi and Alba wouldn't attend this match, and why wasn't this addressed earlier in the week instead of the day of the game, and allowing the conversation around Messi to be, could he be suspended for the next game or not, instead of, maybe addressing this earlier this week, knowing that he has played so much in the last month or so?
Yeah, we should have known earlier, and we should have addressed it earlier. No doubt about that.
All right, thank you, Safid. Thank you to all of our journalists. I'll see you in the press box.